welcome to Corinne's Picks, a show about magnificent works of art and the careers of remarkable artists. Today we have Ron Turner, the gallerist and photographer from Focal Point Gallery. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to see you.
I am so glad that you're able to come to the show. You're basically a City Island institution. You've been around for practically 48 years and counting. I know that you just celebrated your anniversary over the weekend. Tell us a little bit about the gallery, and then we're going to dive into your work and your career.
Well, I came to City Island in 1974 with a dream. I had freshly graduated from photography school and I wanted to exhibit my work. And I tried going to places to do that with not much success. So when I came to City Island, I saw the opportunity of doing that for myself. And after a while, I saw that other artists needed the same opportunity. And I started showing not just my work, but other artists' work as well. And 48 years have gone by, and I'm still doing that. And what I've done is since I opened up the doors officially in 1974 in September and showed my work, I figured every September I would give myself a one-person show. So this now being 2022, I continued that tradition and hung a new body of work of mine called Musicians for my anniversary show this past Saturday. And on top of that, I had a wedding in the gallery. I couldn't think of a better way of, celebrating but to have a wedding and an anniversary at the same time.
So, what is the basic concept of your gallery? What kind of artists do you show?
Well, in the beginning, there was a heavy emphasis on photography because that's what I am. But I began to change my outlook on things and started to give other people, other disciplines, a chance to exhibit. So throughout the years, the gallery has been open to sculpture, painting, graphic art, now computer artwork, everything. I mean, if somebody came with a poem and it was framed and I could hang it on a wall, that's a piece of artwork. I would put it up. So throughout the years, the policy has changed a little bit. Uh, in the beginning, I started to curate shows where people would come in with their portfolios. I would ask artist friends of mine to help me go through the work and decide who would exhibit. And then we would put together an exhibition for the entire year, each month being a different body of work, either a one-person show or a group show. That changed as time went by. I did not like being a curator, did not enjoy the process, didn't feel right about saying no to somebody because I knew what that felt like. And it was the reason why I opened up the gallery in the first place. I got tired of hearing no. And I realized I was doing that. And for a long, long time now, I give exhibitions every month called Artist Choice. So I let the artist curate themselves, decide what they want to put in, and I don't turn anyone away. I feel that if the person has the courage to put their work up on a wall in a gallery and have people come and look at it, it should go up. And I get all kinds of work. Uh, I make it easy. You can. I do have to ask. Unfortunately, these days, $20 per piece, no matter what size. But I don't take a commission. So I think that's relatively reasonable. It helps me financially. It pays for the opening expenses because I do have the wine and the cheese, and you can come and drink at least $20 worth of wine if you like. Uh, and I leave it up to the artists to decide how many pieces they can afford to put in. And I do a tremendous amount of publicity. If they want to sell, they get the full amount of what they're asking. But I'm very upfront about it. Whether your work is going to sell or not, I can't tell you. It's hard selling artwork. But I can guarantee that people are going to see your work, that it's going to get plenty of exposure. I have stayed current with social media. After I hang a show, I do a video of the show showing everybody's work. I make sure that it goes on Instagram, Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and now even TikTok. I'm learning about TikTok and how to do that. So one thing you will get is exposure. And I think for most artists, that's the name of the game. You want people to see your work, and this is a way of getting it out there. And I think Focal Point gives you a really nice venue to be able to do that. It's a friendly atmosphere. And I also feel more important is meeting other artists and sharing ideas. So Focal Point, true to its name, is a place where you can feel relaxed, meet people, and share your ideas. That's been happening, and I'm happy to be able to continue doing that.
I think it's really worth noting that you have also allowed children to display their work. I know that you had an annual children's show every year.
Yes, how that happened many years ago. Um, Here in the public schools, and the public school on City Island had an art teacher. We're talking about, oh, gee, I don't know how many years ago. I think my son now is 43. When he was about maybe 10 years old, 8 years old, he came and said, "Hey, Dad, they fired the art teacher. We don't have an art program anymore." And I was very unhappy about that. So I thought, well, if I started showing 1 month out of that whole year an exhibition just for young children, that would still encourage them to make artwork. So I started to do that, and I did that every year. I took on the expense of matting and framing and hanging, and the work was not for sale, so there was no revenue coming in for that month. And I was able to manage to continue to do that. After a while, financially, it became very difficult, and I didn't do it for 1 year. And a very good friend of mine, Joe Moscato, who is a photographer, an excellent photographer, and a wonderful human being, came to me and said, "Ron, what happened to the Young Artist Show?" And I said, "Joe, I can't do it. I just financially can't do it." And he said, "Well, how about if I sponsor it? Will you do it then?" And I said, "Yeah, if you are going to be that generous, I don't mind doing all the work towards doing that." He said, "Well, he'll pay for me to be able to continue doing that." And up until COVID, that's what has happened. So thanks to Joe, the Young Artist exhibition did continue. And we're hoping that because it's traditionally was always in April. So I'm hoping come 2023 that we can do the Young Artist Show again.
And I hope that the audience would really see the importance of the show and also donate to the gallery towards that show as well. We have about 5 minutes till we go to about 4 minutes till we go to commercial break. I really would love to discuss your work a little bit before going to break. Can we see the first image? Maybe you could tell us a little bit of background behind this image.
Okay, that's me 48 years ago in the back of Focal Point Gallery, the first one, which was located at Let's see, the address was 296 City Island Avenue. I'm in the third location right now on City Island. There's been 3 different storefronts, but the first one that I moved into was a huge, huge space. The front was the gallery, the middle was my studio and dark room, and the back I moved in, but it didn't have heat or hot water. I made friends with some of the City Islanders. One, Peter Coyle, helped putting the copper coils around the stove. A scientist friend, Bob Muller, came up with the idea to that would give me the hot water, and I was set up. I had my heat, I had my hot water, I had my dog for companionship. That was Pandora, my first dog. And Willie the cat was there to take care of all the mice that there were. So I lived in the back in the beginning, did that for 4 years, then moved to my second location, which was on the corner of Hawkins and the Avenue, 278, put in some time there, and then moved to where I am now, which is the longest, which is 321 City Island Avenue. Bonita is barking.
I guess that's your new dog.
That's the mascot.
Can we have the next image, please? Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this one, too.
All right, this is part of the show that's up right now, which is called Musicians. I've been photographing musicians for a while and decided to give myself a whole exhibition about musicians. This was done in New Orleans. I had an opportunity just before COVID hit to go to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. And that is the place to go for music and for food. So that was in New Orleans. I've photographed musicians a lot on City Island, but if I see wherever I go musicians, I'm drawn to it because I do love music.
Okay, we are going to go for a commercial break, and we'll be right back and discuss more of Ron Terner of Focal Point Gallery's work.
Kids!
I don't want to talk about it.
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 Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency.
Kids, you all right?
This family's prepared. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan. Go to nyc.gov/readyny or call 311 for more information.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. And I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out."
Welcome back to Corinne's Picks. I'm your host, Corinne Basabe. We've been talking to Ron Terner about his work and his legacy as a gallery owner of Focal Point Gallery. He's been at the gallery for over 48 years, and he's also a renowned photographer. So let's look at some more of his image and get some more of his knowledge.
So this again is from New Orleans. I had the opportunity to go there and enjoy Mardi Gras, and there's lots of music. One of the things that I did was, or how I came up with this exhibition of my work, was because of living on City Island and having a friend who opened up a storefront called Starving Artist, Elliot Glick, who is a musician himself. And he opened his door like I did for artists to be able to show their work here at Focal Point. He opened up his door for musicians to perform at Starving Artist, now called The Artist. And I would go sit and enjoy the music, all kinds of music. He would host from jazz to sometimes classical to blues, all kinds of music. And I'd be there listening. And what I enjoyed seeing in the musicians was the passion, the love, the intensity in their performing. And I realized that they had the same feeling that I have for what it is that I do behind a camera in creating. So I realized that that's what I was photographing, or I was trying to photograph. And as I had mentioned, there was a wedding here in the gallery, and she is a performer for a band that's called Days of Wild with Papagayo, who's the band leader and an amazing drummer who I had become friends with, and he lived on City Island. And he had performed outside of Focal Point Gallery a few times over the years. And his performer asked if she can get married in the gallery, Chihiro. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. I would love that. I told her I would even photograph the wedding for her. And Papagayo came out with the band. But it made me think, what was I going to put up on the walls as a background for the wedding? And that's when I came up with the show Musicians. I went through all my folders that I was collecting of musicians throughout the years, and now decided to print, frame, and hang so that she would have her fellow musicians as a background. And that's how this particular exhibition came about. So a lot of the photographs are some of them are from New Orleans. A lot of them are from City Island, from Starving Artist, Elliot's Place. And they're also, this is in somebody's backyard. My neighbor is a banjo player, and he likes to play bluegrass. So I get invited to go to the backyard for barbecue and music, and I can't help myself, you know. And there's Elliot. That's Elliot Glick. He is the owner of The Artist now. People should definitely check him out. You can go there to have music. That was photographed at The Artist, another musician. His name is Frank. He has his own group. So it took me on a wonderful journey. This is New Orleans. The interesting thing about her is after she finished her song, she looked at me and she was so nice. She said, I want you to know that these are truly my color eyes. They're not fake. These are really my color eyes. And she was a beautiful person. Papagayo plays at the Red Lion. He used to play at BB King's, which no longer exists, but he took me down to the Red Lion, and he knows so many musicians. He's relatively well known in the circuit of music, and introduced me to other musicians. And I don't know the name of the club that this was taken, but he's a jazz drummer. And when he finished that gig, he went over to Red Lion and was drumming some funk for Papagayo. This was at Red Lion. Like I said, Papagayo is well known, and musicians come out just to be able to play with him. And you never know who's going to show up. This was at Starving Artist. I don't know the name of the instrument, but his name is Chris Wertenbaker. And he plays all these unique instruments, Middle Eastern music. So, as I said, if you go, to Starving Artists, you never know what kind of music you're going to hear. He's a member of and has played with Papagayo. City Island, besides everybody, if you mention City Island, people say, oh, that's a place with restaurants. In actuality, there are lots of musicians and groups that live on City Island. This was photographed in Puerto Rico in a mall. I heard this music. I recognized it as accordion music, found the person who was creating it, and was just taken by, his face, the accordion held together by rubber bands. So, as I said, if I hear music now, I head over to it. That's Papagayo. That's one of my favorite pictures of Papagayo. You can just feel the music in his body. He's a great leader. This was taken at Hawkins Park. One of the things that City Island has is a venue for music in the park every Sunday from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And again, there's a lot of different groups that are booked to come there to play, and it's free. You go and you sit in a park that's next to an ice cream store called Lickety Split. So you can get yourself your ice cream and sit and listen to music. So I've been presented with this opportunity because of living on City Island, meeting these musicians. And it's interesting how one thing will lead to another. And the wedding, helped bring this all together. This was a member of Days of Wild. She's a wonderful singer. She was out on Saturday singing for the wedding with Papagayo's band. Now that's Mike. Mike DiMaggio is a City Islander. One of my favorite musics is blues. I love the blues. And Mike is a great blues harmonica player and City Islander that I've known for years. And he is able to play with just about any band. So he plays with Days of Wild. There's a band on City Island called the Blue Collar Band. He plays with them. There's so many bands that I can't remember all the names of the bands that are on City Island. All of them equally good. Different styles of music. And quite often you'll see Mike, playing with all the different bands. Skip has his own band who has the ice cream place, Lickety Split. And he is good friends with Vinnie Pastore. If people know the actor from Big Pussy, that was the role he played in the TV series. He joins Skip and the band, and I'll have some pictures of Vinnie Pastore as well. But City Island has a lot of music, not just restaurants. Has a lot of musicians and a lot of music to offer. And I've been happy to be able to photograph it.
You know, I look at these photographs. We're about 3 minutes till the end of the show, but I look at your photographs and I almost think they look painterly. What is your technique in photography in terms of getting them to look like that? The textures are almost like velvet.
Well, I date back to the darkroom. So when you would have your negative and you would print, you would try to make the best print possible. So printing was very, very important. I will take my digital file now and I take the same concept of making the fine print and I happen to use Photoshop. There's a lot of other programs out there and they all are equally good, but I grew up with Photoshop when digital, came into its own, and I use Photoshop to try to bring out what I was feeling for that particular image. So I'm always thinking about making a good print to make sure there's richness. If it's black and white, good gray tones, good blacks, good whites. If it's a color image, the saturation is just right, make the colors pop. It all depends upon the image and how I feel towards it. And then instead of being in the dark room, I'm at the computer.
You know, I'm really grateful for you being on the show today. We'll have to continue. There's a lot more I want to ask you in terms of your work, but we have about 1 minute left. Thank you for being on the show. Hopefully we can continue this conversation, and definitely people need to go out to City Island. It's a historical town in the Bronx, and there's a lot to see, especially Focal Point Gallery. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I invite artists to come and show their work here.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
But you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a course online.
You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.